Day one. It's not good. Well, ignoring the fact that there's gesso on my floor now, here it is. The canvas that will be here for the next 365 days. I wanted to make this project or commit to this project because I always wanted to build creativity into a daily habit, but that's quite hard with photography where I'm using film and you have to go out to somewhere and shoot a subject or shoot something, come back, edit, not even talking about going and developing things, so you can't really get a direct feedback to what you're making every day. So when the idea of having a canvas in my apartment right here, no excuses but to add some sort of painting every day, I kind of had to commit to it. Kind of comes to this idea as well of what Tim Ferriss talked about, I think with some other writer, is putting 200 crappy words down on the paper. Doesn't matter what it is, how bad it is, how bad it flows, whatever. It's just getting it out there. Now, saying this, my drawing/painting abilities could be my greatest weakness. I don't know anything else that I'm worse at other than painting and drawing. It's just never been a thing, even though I've tried so many times, and I do enjoy, or I wouldn't say enjoy, I enjoy the idea of being able to draw. So this is another thing, getting better at that. That can force me into something uncomfortable, like making a drawing or painting each day. So I guess it's time to start. Now, I thought the best way to start, put the first paint on the canvas, would be in the middle. And when I was thinking about what kind of things I could draw, that'd be a good start, would be, I thought of a black hole, because it kind of emulates perpetuity, beginnings and ends really well. I don't know how well I'm able to draw a circle, especially a sphere, but I'm sure a lot of this will be just not great, but you just gotta put paint on the canvas. So how big should it be? It's just like a million things to think about. Center's here. Well, let's make a quarter. I'd probably be saying a lot more, but I'm just so tired as it is. 11:32 currently. already noticing that smaller brush, or I could paint it bigger, but it's definitely going to be a lot of referencing photos. I'm just putting the final details. It's kind of big. I think my paintbrushes are pretty big. That's the problem. Can't really do it detailed. All finished. Day 1 is done. Day 2. Started to try to make a fire tower, a watchtower, whatever they're called. These brushes are just too thick, so I think it's gonna be a strikeout today. I've even been trying to play with this palette knife to get finer lines, but it's even harder. It's almost, I just really need a fine brush. I think that'll be it for today. Day 3. Can already tell you that having a flat brush is a miracle. I should have never bought that set of paintbrushes. Today's subject that I decided was, when I was stretching this morning, the sun came and hit the floor and my yoga mat in a way that I thought was interesting. And I think what's cool with this project, even though this is extremely simple painting, it's still showing a part of my year. Just a random snippet of what I saw this morning. I think my favorite thing about drawing, painting, etc. is how tactile and authentic it looks. Like you can see that my lines aren't super straight or even, and it gives that kind of look of character to it, which is, I feel like, kind of hard with photography and super sharp mediums like film or photography. And with that, I think I'm about done with the third painting. Day 4. Today's subject is yet another thing that I saw. So on a walk by the Mississippi today, and there's a bunch of frozen ice, and it kind of is in the shape of a head. It looked pretty challenging to draw, so I thought I'd try it. Gonna use white for the first time and just trying to clean up these edges, but if I were to guess how this goes, I'm gonna assume I'm just gonna make a gray instead of painting over white, because they're gonna mix, but there's only one way to see. Yep, knew it. I definitely learned about mixing colors today. Obviously, when you put white near black, it obviously doesn't turn white, or vice versa. I think that comes from my instincts of using charcoal. After adding just a little crack in the ice, I think it's done. Day 5. Today was my grandmother's funeral, so I'm deciding to paint my favorite memory of her and me, which is of us at Wrigley Field watching a Cubs game. As a kid, I didn't take a lot of vacations, so this trip that I took to Chicago, they were living in Naperville at the time, but we took a day trip to Chicago to watch the Cubs play at Wrigley. Was kind of just one of those memories that stick forever. Now, being that just a few days ago,
I learned that my grandmother's natural hair color was not orange or, quote, red. I thought this would be the perfect moment to add the first point of color on the canvas by just putting a little orange in her hair. Day 6.
It's just one of those days. Day 7. Don't really have much in mind today, so I'm just kind of freehanding it. See what comes about, try to do some different shades or lines. I've realized that there's a huge difference from painting and drawing, or that the differences of them. I kind of came into it that how painting might be similar to drawing, but obviously painting is a lot more learning how to mix colors and then make shapes out of those different shades of colors. So I don't know how everything will unfold as the year goes by. It was just a couple paint splotches, then it turned into kind of a tree, and now it's, I guess, this. Day 8. Did my first blacksmithing project today. Definitely was not planned to do that, but just how the night turned out. So adding some color, because of course the metal is orange, bright red, etc. I'm gonna try to add a lot of paint to the hammer and see if I can smear it to make it look like it's moving. I don't know how that will work, but I guess we'll see. Looks all right. Day 9. Made it through another day. Almost. We're at the end. It's 9:37, and I'm drying a bowl of soup that I had, which is pretty great. Tortellini and sausage. Now I did try something new and tried to add a couple layers of gradient coming from gray to black, just to kind of separate things. Obviously the rest of my paintings are all kind of just black, but there is a tint of orange of what kind of the shade of the soup was, but it still didn't turn out great. And I think everything would be much better if I just had more time. I just can't really sit and practice painting for more than 30 minutes a day. Now I'm just adding texture on the bread, which I kind of just messed up. Whatever. Guess that's gonna be my soup and bread. Day 10. Was on a walk a couple minutes ago and saw a railway level sign. And no, I did not know what it was called before a couple minutes ago. So, even though I should. Now what I'm gonna try to do, I already kind of messed it up, but I'm gonna try to invert the colors, because Obviously there's some snowflakes in the picture. I would like to add snowflakes, but my canvas is white, so I'm going to try and make everything that's lighter darker. Everything that's darker lighter. Well, it's definitely the painting I've spent the most amount of time on so far. I feel like Napoleon Dynamite shading an upper lip. I mean, doesn't look like much, but definitely compared to the other paintings, shading has been a real task. Well, I don't know if it was worth it, all that shading, but when I back up and squint, it does look a little better. Day 11. It's a very gray day. It's gray outside, gray inside. Just one of those days that the whole space of everything is just gray. Obviously in the northern hemisphere, it's overcast the majority of the days, so it's just one of those days that felt very gray. So I'm going to try to make a grayscale kind of painting of different shades of gray. And when I was thinking of what it should be, a painting of Edward Hopper's called Office in a Small City came to mind, which is, it's definitely not a gray painting. It's very colorful like his other stuff, but it gives a lot of similarities to the mood of what today was. Edward Hopper is definitely one of my top three painters of all time. I think this one turned out pretty good. I don't really have to even squint. Just have to step back. Day 12. I had one of those weird life phenomenons where just things happen. This was because I've had this song that I've listened to for I don't know how long. It's been in my playlist forever. It's always had that interesting, very almost too good of a sound to be original, or like the person that made it or published it on Spotify, they sourced it themselves. And when I was going to a movie today, I played my playlist and it played this song. Fast forward to watching the movie, it was one of the main lines in the movie, which is Paris, Texas. Simple, but does the job. Day 13. Just like this question mark, I don't even know which way to go. Day 14. Spent most of my day sitting at my computer, so there wasn't much to think of what to paint until dusk was approaching and there was a flock of birds that were silhouetted against the orange setting sky, so I guess we're gonna do that. Well, I can officially say I've messed up my first painting for sure. I had a good gradient going, and then I don't know if my mineral spirits is muddied or I messed that up when I cleaned that the other day, but my whites got really dark and now it just looks like there's a beige layer on top that obviously isn't shaded correctly because I put it on top. So yeah, so I guess a learning opportunity to make sure my paintbrush is clean before putting it on, definitely the whites or just in general. Day 15. Today's going to be a tree, as you can kind of see so far. Um, just a lot of trees that were part of today. Being in the woods, having a talk about a tree, or I went to a presentation about trees. So I was like, it's got to be a tree for today. So super tired, so it's not going to be super detailed, nice tree, I'm sure. I would say with extreme confidence that this is not a great looking tree, but I do think it, one, emulates kind of what the trees currently look like when I was out in the woods today, and two, really show that my state of mental energy as well. So it might not be a great tree, but definitely shows what kind of energy I have. So with that being said, I'm gonna hit the hay. Day 16. Spent most of my day on the road, just doing errands and stuff. Kind of went all around the Twin Cities, so I thought might make it like a little map that kind of shows my path throughout the Twin Cities, kind of stream of consciousness. So that's what today's painting is. Now, if you comment below 4 of the highways that I traveled on, I'll Venmo you $5. I think there's definitely at least 5 or 6 highways I'm on, so I guess good luck. It's day 17. Obviously it's not the 17th or 18th day of the year, because I've been on the road for the past couple days and wasn't here at my place, so making up the next couple days. I'm gonna turn out a couple paintings tonight, see how it goes, but all of the subject matter that I missed, or the subject matter will be still connected to the day that it happened. I'm just gonna be painting it tonight. So, like today, the 17th day, is going to be still expressing what happened on the 17th day of this year. That's day 17, over and out. Day 18. I was at Split Rock Lighthouse that day, and when I was looking at it, I realized I have a lighthouse here already, so I might as well kind of conjoin the two. So I'm going to try to paint this kind of scene that I captured on my phone, so we'll see how it goes. It's another day down. Day 19. Day 20. Something I learned a couple minutes ago, obviously not a new concept, but I was looking up how to mix colors correctly because that's one thing that I still don't know how to do. And then I ended up sitting, looking, and finding different painting videos for an hour when I could have just been painting and learning it. So that's kind of the reminder of today, of to just kind of go do it without having to understand all the intricacies of doing a certain thing. So if you're feeling a type of way where you feel overwhelmed of the complexity and you want to be perfect about it and understand everything, it's just never going to work out. And that's kind of what I got to do today. Just start painting and put it on the canvas. It's definitely not one of my most high def paintings on the canvas, but it's going to be what it's going to be. "20 days down." Day 21. The light was coming in from my window pretty harshly, and when the shadow kind of casted on my face across diagonally, I thought it was kind of interesting. So obviously this is gonna be a more rough painting, but I'm gonna try to remake that. I think there's something about the relationship with myself and specifically heads and how they symbolize different things and how I feel different things with heads. Obviously, I don't know, at least those 2, 3, 4. A lot of these paintings are heads, which is, I think, interesting, along with my sculptures that I've made are busts of heads. And then there's artists that have all different sorts of fascinations with the human body, whether that's different limbs or things like that. But I think my thing is definitely heads. And with what I'm going to be doing, I think it really stabilizes the focus of the head when you take out the eyes. It's quite interesting. Understand that it's his head. I still like to slash through it. It's day 22, and spent some time at home and thought I'd draw a little sketch of just at home with sister, dog, and mom. So that's what I'm gonna do. You know, it might not look like much, but it's about encapsulating that memory instead of worrying about perfection of the final image. That's gonna be it. Day 23. I'm gonna try to do something really weird with this tape and different techniques. It is currently 12:01 and I'm tired, so it's just gonna be one of those things that I'm gonna let it flow. Kind of just went full freestyle with this and did whatever I felt, so. Just gonna finish the night with some splatter. My favorite painting so far is the one I made a couple days ago of the upside down torso. So I thought I'd add some more of that splatter kind of. Plus I don't like this edge, how it turned out. It kind of turned out weird, but now it's kind of perfect. I think it's time for some dumplings. Day 24. Today I was working out my prototype for the Credenzem building, and I thought it was kind of interesting in how ratios and different principles matter when looking at design. And one of them was an owl, and then another one was what the project is based off of, which is a Torii gate. So I'm going to be doing half owl, half Torii gate. Day 25. Like I mentioned yesterday, working on my furniture project, and the other half of this owl will be it, or what I have of it planned so far. And before I got muted, I was saying that I was going to do this today because I did spend, I think, at least 4 hours today working on it. So that's a wrap on day 25. Day 26. Today is the first time I'm using charcoal or anything other than oil paint on the canvas. I do have oil pastels that I could probably use, but I watched The Brutalist today, and it kind of inspired me to pick up the charcoal that I have and use it to draw this mound of snow that I saw while I was walking out to my car from the theater. It's pretty hard to get a consistent color just because of how rough my canvas still is, even after priming it, but I guess it's just part of it. I'm not really able to make really deep, dark shadows like I can with oil paint because the charcoal really isn't sticking, but I think it turned out all right. Day 27. Day 28. Today I felt like I started to see the progress of beginning a lot. I took my first photos of the year. There's a lot in the talks of what this year is going to kind of look like. Just a lot of new beginnings, and I felt it would be appropriate to be extremely cliche and paint a seed that's sprouting. Kind of gave me that reminder, or I guess reminded me of back in like first and second grade, where we plant a seed of some sort and it grow on the edge of the windowsill. You watch it grow throughout the weeks and everything, and I feel like just today is really kind of just seeing that sprout come. Like obviously with this project and everything, being able to see a part of it coming towards the end of the month, almost just 1 month into this project and this year, obviously. So that's what I'm going to be drawing. Well, I hope this seed turns into a great big beanstalk. Day 29. Yet another day where I spent the majority of my hours awake thinking about the current project I'm working on. But today, instead of being inside my apartment just sketching things out, I spent the majority of it at a wood slab, I guess you could say shop, but lumber yard that has a bunch of slabs that I'm looking at, trying to figure out what type I want to use for my project. So I'm just gonna paint how the slabs were aligned. I think after today it's kind of crazy to think how many different species of wood there are and different grain variations and everything to kind of take in consideration when you're taking on a project and all the different possibilities. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about how many different species and how this wood came from all over the world. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. Just a couple more days and month 1 is done. Day 30. Spent the night at the Walker Art Center, and after spending most of my time in the bookstore / design store, on the way back to my car, I went out to the James Turrell piece, which is called Sky Pesher, and it pretty much carves out a piece of the sky, and you kind of gaze up, and it almost looks like the sky is framed within this square that you're sitting below. So I'm gonna draw that. It was nighttime and there's stars, so that's what I'm gonna paint today. While I was looking at some of the books within the Walker, obviously came across a couple painting ones about specifically some mid-century painters, and I thought it was just so crazy to really see now, after almost a month of painting, what it takes to even just do something slightly adequate, and seeing, I guess, obviously they're professional painters, but the best of the best, and how much farther it is from what I'm doing. Those are the stars, and that is the painting for day 30. Day 31. Spent the most part of the latter half of my day learning a new modeling software, and I thought I'd just kind of draw the axes, I don't know how to say that, but axes as lines, just because that's what I guess the highlight of my day was. There it is, 31 paintings for 31 days. That's my month of January on the canvas.